Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about, is it normal to obsess about your ex?
Our brains do a lot of funny things.
I'll tell you, when you're going through that breakup, it just consumes your whole life. Mm-hmm. You fall asleep thinking about that person. You wake up thinking about that person. You have nightmares about that person. You drive past a place that reminds you of that person. You hear a song that reminds you of that person. You eat a food that reminds you of cooking with that person. It's endless. It just doesn't stop.
Yeah. And then even when you're doing other things, you're daydreaming. You're playing out
about
scenarios about what happened in the past, what could happen in the future, how you're feeling. And many of you might also be obsessing over your own progress in the breakup.
Yes.
You might be obsessing about your ex, and now you're obsessing about the fact that you're obsessing about your ex, and it just becomes this really vicious cycle.
Yeah, and you can start to beat yourself up and feel like it's not normal, right? I talked to somebody recently. They're like, well, it's been months, and I'm really struggling with this. Well, yeah, that's normal. You get attached to somebody, and the process of letting go and, not trying to repair it is a very difficult, painful process.
Oh, yeah.
And the more that you focus on talking about it and putting words to it, the faster you're going to heal. Margaret always used to say that we heal from putting words to it, right? And you could do that, especially with the workbooks or the creative healing course. There's thousands of questions, literally thousands. The workbooks are 594 pages.
Wow, yeah.
And there's probably an average of, at least 7-8 questions a page, something like that. I don't know. I lost track. But and then the course is even bigger in different ways. But we did that to help you process, because when you put words to it, it makes you feel so much better. And you're putting your energy into something proactive instead of a mindless merry-go-round of thoughts and fake conversations that you're going to have. And we do that, right? We start to think we're going to have this conversation. It's going to go like this and like that. And you imagine you getting yourself the upper hand in that imaginary scenario. But it never goes the way you think it's going to go, ever.
Yeah, and it can feel like torture in your own mind. And what's happening is our brain senses that disconnection, and it automatically associates it with danger. Because we are built for connection. Connection makes us safe. Biologically, connection helps us to survive. We are stronger in numbers. And when we have that special person, it's like our brain gets that feeling of safety with them. So when we're disconnected, our brain goes into panic mode. It goes, we are disconnected, we are unsafe, we are more vulnerable to the elements. And our brain is trying to find ways to return back to safety. And that's where some of that obsession, the anxiety can start. If you notice, especially in the first couple weeks after the breakup, you can almost feel like the sense of numbness. Many of you describe like you've been hit by a truck. Many of you experience a lot of even visceral symptoms, difficulty eating, difficulty sleeping. So these things do happen.
Oh, and the toilet troubles.
Oh, you always have to bring up the diarrhea.
So I didn't say a diarrhea this time. I said
we knew what you meant.
said toilet troubles. Could be a multitude of things. Although we know it's not.
So the obsession, it can hit us really hard.
Yeah. And when I started really understanding breakups and looking at this thing, when I started to see that biological component of, disconnection, feeling like we're going to die, and like why we get so obsessively wanting to connect and feeling that desire to stalk their social media. Some of you guys are stalking with other ways, maybe even drones. You get creative.
Oh, no, please. Really?
Yeah. You don't remember the drone guy?
I blocked that out.
There was a drone guy. Remember? And he said he couldn't figure out if it was a new guy or her grandson.
Oh, my God.
You
Don't write this
one?
down, guys. Don't take notes.
Don't drone. Yeah, but when we understand that it's our biology just trying to make us feel safe and like we're out of danger, it really does help us sort through why we're suffering so much. So that's why I really like to educate you guys about it, because when you understand it, it makes you feel a little bit better and it gives you a little bit more control. Like, oh, I'm going through something biologically. I'm having chemicals released in my brain. No wonder why I'm struggling with this.
And just to touch on the is it normal to obsess, maybe some of you are a year out after your breakup and you're still obsessing and you're thinking, man, is it normal to be thinking this much about this person? Of course, it's dependent on your situation. I'm not going to say a blanket statement for everyone, but when we haven't gotten our needs met as a child, a lot of times that can affect the way that we attach. That can affect our feeling of safety with others. If we didn't really get that sense of safety growing up, that sense of security growing up with the caregiver, it can, make our system be all out of whack. And some of you might still be obsessing over an ex because of deeper attachment issues that are there.
Absolutely.
So it's something to look into. I don't want to say, is it normal? Is it not normal? It's normal given probably what you have went through. It's normal because your system is telling you something. There's typically a reason why you are obsessing.
Yeah.
And that's not to put meaning to everything. I also want to make a disclaimer. I haven't done disclaimers in a while. And in some of our early videos, I would always have a
disclaimer.
I would always have a disclaimer for everything.
We should have put a disclaimer that you're going to have a disclaimer in this video.
Yeah, probably. But we do know that there are things like thought disorders, and so obsessions can be a part of that as well, which is why it's important to work with a therapist. If you find that this is really affecting your daily life, affecting your functioning, please talk to a professional. Please, get the help that you need, because we know that obsessions can be very problematic too. So
it's a trauma, right? Breakups are traumatic, and many of us have been traumatized in our childhood with our attachment. And so we are easily triggered in the way that, and the feelings that we had in our childhood come up with our breakups. I've talked about like how my dad left my mom when I was like a year and a half old. And so that was very traumatic for me because he was so involved with me when, you're a baby at a year and a half old. And then having to go over to my dad's house with my stepmom, who had a lot of mental health problems, and that's putting it nicely, was very traumatic for me. I had massive amounts of separation anxiety going over there, crying all the time. I remember being very small, crying all the time, wanting to go home to my mom, not wanting to be there. It felt awful. I would get stomach aches. I would get earaches. It was very painful. And so that explains why breakups were so difficult. I was going through a lot of the same traumatic symptoms that I had when I was small. And it comes back up in your adulthood. But it doesn't make sense until you really look at it closer like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it can be challenging. If you think about some of the obsessions, yes, our body feels like we're not safe. Our mind and body doesn't feel like we're safe. But there's also the emotional component too. This person had an impact on you. This person was very close to you. You probably told things to this person that you haven't told anybody. In some cases, maybe they knew you better than you know yourself. And so when somebody has that profound of an impact, it's hard to forget them. It's hard to not think about them. And we know that breakups go down very differently. Some of you have had almost traumatic breakups themselves. And so it would make sense that your mind is, replaying what those events towards the end of your relationship looked like.
Yeah. I had a couple of clients recently, one that got dumped the day after they got engaged. Like literally the next day, and another one that got dumped before engagement. Actually, you and I both talked to this person recently. We talked about them a little while ago before we started filming, that they were about to get engaged and all of a sudden they get dumped out of nowhere, and the reasons for the breakup don't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. So it would be hard not to obsess and not to think about those things when they've left such a mark. Some of you might also have certain roles in your relationship. I've talked to many of you that are caretakers, you're natural rescuers, you're natural nurturers. You see somebody that's in trouble and you can't help but to show up and want to go the extra mile for them. And a lot of times this can also be a pattern that's developed from childhood, a role that you may have had in your family. But it can be hard emotionally to one day say, okay, I'm just not going to care about this person. Our minds don't work that way. If you're a natural caretaker, of course you're going to be worried, is my ex okay?
Oh yeah, and then you panic. Like, think about the people that'll be like, tell me when you get home.
Yeah.
It's like you're in the middle of a breakup. You're about to go into no contact, and you're like, hey, let me know if you got home safe.
Yeah.
Oh, only tonight? From here on out, we're never going to talk again, but you care about tonight?
Right. Or if you know that your ex has a medical issue, or if you know that, your ex is, I don't know, prone to being super isolated.
Or how about exes that their mental health was so poor you were worried they might hurt themselves?
That's another really big one.
Right? We've seen that.
Yeah. So it's hard to not think about them in those situations too, especially when you have a genuine concern for them.
Yeah.
Other things that can keep you obsessed: unresolved anger. There might be things that you look back at the relationship like, man, I can't believe I tolerated that. And that anger, it's kind of like when you get into a fight and you're in the shower and you think of all the good comebacks once you're in the shower.
The jerks are called and they're running out of you.
The what called?
It's a Seinfeld reference.
Oh, I wouldn't get that.
It was a good comeback episode. That's what he said.
And so unresolved anger can also be another thing that keeps our mind obsessing, the coulda, shoulda, wouldas of the situation. And another big one is guilt. Maybe you feel like you've made a lot of mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
And that can eat you up from the inside.
Yeah, because now you're blaming yourself, and you're just sitting there blaming yourself. If I had only done this, if I had only done that, we wouldn't have broken up. We'd still be together. And that makes you feel awful.
Can really keep you ruminating.
Yeah, so it's a lot. And so all of this is to say that it is completely normal for you to think about your ex after a breakup, to obsess about it, to stay stuck, and to not feel like you've moved on yet. You want to do your best to do so. We always tell you guys to try and let them go to get them back, right? We don't say harp on an ex. We say process, deal with it, move forward, allow them to come back when they're ready, and act like an adult. In the meantime, really work on yourself. Make that your focus. Because if they come back, there's going to be a lot of challenges. And if you haven't dealt with the stuff we've talked about today, like anger, hurt, guilt, maybe lies or infidelity or whatever it may be, if you haven't processed that and they come back, it's going to fall apart real quick.
Oh, yeah. And something to note is that there can be a big difference in how you think about your ex. Many of you might be thinking about your ex in a very negative way or in a very obsessive kind of way where you feel the need to control or get information or stalk.
Yeah.
Some of you are thinking about your ex in a very reflective way, with more of a growth mindset of, okay, how can I move forward here? What happened in this? What did this bring out in me? How can I relate this to other experiences in my life? And so there could be a big difference in how you obsess about your ex. And you don't want to engage in those types of behaviors that are going to keep more of that negative loop spiraling.
Yep.
If you stalk your ex, if you do it just once, you're going to want to do it again. Even if you get no information, it's going to tell your brain, oh, but there might be some information next time.
Yes. I told somebody today, I said, look, I know it's very hard for some of you not to look. Some of you guys can do it no problem.
Oh, yeah.
Some of you guys are like, it's torture not to look. And I told him, I said, look, he's doing the creative healing course. I said, at the very least, make yourself work for it. Say to yourself, I'm going to do 30 minutes and then I'm going to hold myself accountable, not just look free willy-nilly, because it's like at least that it makes you kind of work for something. And then it's like, all right, now I feel, because I processed and I'm dealing with it like an adult. I'm like, at least try that as opposed to just constantly obsessing, because it kind of makes you kind of earn it in a healthy way, even though the looking is unhealthy.
And hopefully by the end of, you doing some of the course, you'll say to yourself, okay, I don't need to look, I don't need to stalk.
Yeah. But I'd rather you do that and at least spend that time focusing on something positive than continuing to look 30 times a day. And some of you are probably looking way more than 30 times a day.
Yeah. So you really have to think about ways to protect your own mind. And while sometimes we can't control our thoughts, sometimes they're intrusive. Like Greg said in the beginning, we're at the grocery store, we see a food, we're like, oh my God, my ex loved tomatoes or whatever it might be. So we know that it can be tough, but we can manage our behaviors. And so that's something to think about. if you're thinking about your ex a lot, don't let it stop you from your own goals and dreams. We know that sometimes obsessions can take over your mind and almost start to shape you in a way. And so always go back to, where is it that you want your life to go?
That's right.
This is about you. Your ex has decided to remove themselves from the equation, and you have to plan your life around you, not around your ex.
You want to be the star in your own movie. Right? Your life is your movie and you want to be the star. And many of you guys get caught up in making your ex the star for so long that you forget about yourself and living your life. And all you do is spend your time consumed with where they're at, what they're doing, who they're with.
Or what they would want for you.
Yeah.
Would they want me to, I don't know, get sofritas at Chipotle, or would they want me to get something else? So sometimes we can start to obsess and we internalize that obsession.
Yep.
So live your life for you, make your own decisions, do the things that you like, and try to get back to that as much as you can.
Make that your focus, healing and growing, and part of you finding that balance between trying to repair things if they come back, and part of you is trying to figure out how to use the skills that you're learning and growing with to attract new people when you're ready to move on. And of course, we are here to help you along the way. If you'd like to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Zoom calls. Coach Victoria is also available for Zoom calls.
The sofritas at Chipotle are just so good. But yes, I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.